Okay, and welcome back to Total English Lessons. This week is all about holidays or vacations, American English. In today's lesson, we're going to look at holiday vocabulary, so different types of holidays, and then also some useful phrases which might be appropriate to these. Tomorrow, we'll use these in a listening involving a travel agent and what people are looking for, want in a holiday. And finally, we'll look at first conditional, look at how we can change the modal verb for different meanings. So firstly, let's cover some types of holiday. First of all, if you have a trip, there's a verb and a phrase I think you should use, either have a holiday or go on holiday. There is a slight difference in meaning between these. Have a holiday could be either a trip, but also just time off from work or school. Go on holiday is always going to be a trip somewhere, and it also probably is going to be used with ones which involve more movement. And we'll look at those in a bit. So maybe the most common type of holiday is a city break, where you go to another city, usually for a short amount of time, and just experience the city. Food, monuments, museums, etc. Paris is a very popular place to go for a city break. Here, I would generally say have a city break. Then another popular one, a beach holiday. As the name implies, when you go and stay by the beach, swim in the sea, relax on the sand, etc. Again, I'd probably say have a beach holiday. Then if you live in a colder place or near mountains, you might go on a ski trip where you go skiing for a week. I don't really ski myself these days, but I have friends who do, and generally they say go on a ski trip. Then a bit different, if you're younger, maybe don't have as much money, want to visit many different places, there's a backpacking holiday, where you put everything in a backpack and travel around a country in somewhere like Thailand. Interestingly, in American English, backpacking has a bit of a different meaning. I was over there last year and they used it to refer to hiking. Either way, as it involves more movement, again, I would say go on a backpacking holiday. Then if you want to see many different places, but in your car or a car that you rent, there's a road trip. Again, as there's lots of movement, say go on a road trip. And it's the same for cruise. On one of these, a cruise ship, you visit many different places. It involves lots of movement, so go on a cruise. And then a camping trip, when you go and sleep in a tent, whether in nature, somewhere like the mountains, or at a campsite, the place where they have facilities for people camping. Again, here I would say go on a camping trip. This one isn't a very specific term, but you could use it to describe when you go to a historical place, lots of sites and museums, etc. Here, I would probably say have. For example, we're going to have a cultural holiday in Italy this summer, maybe somewhere like Pompeii. And finally, when you don't leave either your city or your country, if it's a smaller country, you can have a staycation. This one's probably more useful if you live in a country where people often go abroad. In Portugal, generally that doesn't happen, so the term is less useful. Whereas all the other holidays, you can use both, have or go on. Staycation obviously involves no movement, so you really must say have a staycation. So let's now look at some phrases that you could use to talk about your holidays. First up, quite an advanced phrase, broaden your horizons. To expand your knowledge, experience, etc. by doing different things. For myself, I do think traveling to different places is a great way to broaden your horizons. And then a couple of nice phrases which mean to relax, take it easy, or put your feet up. I would say take it easy is a bit more general and means do very little. Put your feet up is a bit more to say relax physically. Essentially, they can be used interchangeably. Next, quite a long phrase, get away from it all, means to go somewhere peaceful, quiet, and escape daily or city life. Quite a useful one if you live in a very busy city. With a fixed phrase like this, if you're going to use it, make sure you know it really well because you must include all the words for it to sound correct. And then one that you probably know that is very important, go sightseeing. See the sights, usually in a city, famous monuments or places. And then with foods, obviously when you go to different countries, you eat a lot of food for the first time. Here, make sure you use the verb try, not taste like my students often do. You can either try local food, specialities, food which is unique to a region, or delicacies. Delicacies, specialities, pretty much the same thing. I would just say delicacies are often slightly fancier, rarer, more expensive, etc. A good example of this is baklava is a speciality in many countries in the world, and it's also a delicacy, very delicious too. However, something like a pork pie is a speciality of a place called Melton Mowbray in the UK, but I wouldn't call it a delicacy. And then if you like extreme sports or getting a bit of an adrenaline rush, you can say get the blood pumping. So whitewater rafting is one way to get the blood pumping. And then if you're quite adventurous and like going to places where fewer tourists go, there is go, get, or be off the beaten path, off the beaten track. Go and get would be the action. Be off the beaten track is a state. You might find a nice local restaurant off the beaten track. Then if you don't like to plan things and just let them happen, you can use see or go where the wind takes you. Often when I travel, I don't really have a plan, I just see where the wind takes me. Then often when we go on holiday, we need to rest and rejuvenate, get our energy back. And a useful one for this is recharge your batteries. And finally, I've got get in touch with or connect with nature. Spend time in and connect with the natural world. I've given you this one because my students often want to say it, but they say something like come into contact with nature, which isn't correct. Those are some types of holiday and a few useful phrases you can use when talking about holidays. Below, I've got a little worksheet to test your understanding and make sure you can remember the language. All you have to do is say what type of holiday they're talking about and then what will happen on that holiday. For example, the first one, we are really looking forward to our city break in Paris. We're going for 3 nights and we will probably mostly go sightseeing, visiting all the famous monuments like the Eiffel Tower, Arc de Triomphe and the Louvre. Have a go at the rest of them, answers are below. Other than that, thank you for supporting the Patreon and I'll see you tomorrow where we'll use this language in a listening exercise. Until then, see ya!